Now, many times we'll have data in a data frame or a larger type of object, such as a matrix. R provides a number of ways to filter data from a given matrix or a data frame, including some special functions from certain packages. However, what we're going to focus on here is just using Boolean operations to filter the data based on rows and columns. So recall that for a matrix or a data frame of individual cells, rows and columns can be accessed using the bracket notation. Bracket, comma, bracket, where the number before the comma is the rows and the number after the comma is the columns. So here's an example. My data frame, bracket, comma, 1:3, provides the first 3 columns of the data frame. By providing criteria in the columns portion within the brackets, it's possible to select which columns are required. This can be done with the relative index, or number, of the column, or even the column names as a vector. Let's take a look at an example. Here we have the MPG dataset, which is built into one of the R packages. So we have MPG bracket, comma, 1:7. This will yield the first 7 columns of the MPG dataset, and all the rows, because there's nothing specified in the rows section. In the second example, we've done MPG bracket, comma, C1:3, comma 6, comma 9:11, close parenthesis, and another bracket. Here, we're looking for the columns 1 through 3, 6, 9, 10, and 11. Again, all the rows in those columns. We can also specify the column names if we wish. MPG bracket, comma, C, manufacturer in quotes, model in quotes, and year in quotes. And it will return these 3 columns of the MPG dataset. Selecting rows can be performed in a similar fashion by providing criteria for the rows portion within the brackets. Here's an example. Sub-df equals MPG bracket 1:6, comma, yields the first 6 rows, and all the columns of those 6 rows because there's nothing in between the comma and the final bracket. In the second case, we have MPG bracket C 1:5, comma 11, comma 21:31. This will yield rows 1 through 5, row 11, and rows 21 through 31, and all the columns of those rows. Similarly, if our data frame has row names, we can actually select those by doing MPG bracket C, the Mazda RX-4 in quotes, the Hornet Superabout in quotes, and the Valiant in quotes, and it will return those rows. Now, for deselecting columns and rows, we can use the same method. We can remove them by using a negative number for the index, but it cannot be used to remove columns or rows by the name. So here in this example, we have my data frame bracket, comma, -2, and it will remove the second column. In the second example, we have my data frame bracket, comma, negative C1:3, comma 6. So recall that the C1:3, comma 6 will give us rows 1 through 3 and 6. When we put the negative in front of that, it will negate all of them. So we're saying remove all of those columns. And in the final example, we're going to remove the rows 100 to 200 by doing my data frame bracket minus C100 through 200, comma, bracket. Both methods can be used simultaneously. So in this example, we have MPG 1:100, comma, -2. It will remove the second column and provide the first 100 rows. In the second case, we have MPG bracket -1, comma, negative C1:3, comma 6. This will remove the first row and remove columns 1 through 3 and 6. And in the final example, we have MPG 1:10, which will give us the first 10 rows, but only the first and last name as specified by the column filter. We can also use this to provide some criteria for conditional filtering. So using the Boolean operators, it's possible to filter for the rows and the columns. For example, to filter all rows where a column such as grade is above 70, we could do the following. If our data frame is called class grades, we'll do class grades, bracket. Now we'll put in for the rows section, look at all the rows whose class grades where the grade is greater than 70. So notice here on the inside of the rows, we're looking at class grades again. this will return a series of true and false values. Those true and false values are the vectors in which the outer class grades will use to determine which rows it's selecting. So let's take a closer look at this. In this example, we have MPG, bracket, MPG, comma, highway greater than 24. Let's look at the first part of this. So in this case, this will return a vector of true or false for each record where the HWY or highway variable is greater than 24. If this vector of trues and false is put in the rows portion of the bracket index for the data frame, it would look like the following. MPG, bracket, C, and then TFTTFF as part of the rows. Therefore, for each record that is true in the vector, the record will be returned back to the MPG_pass data frame. Note that when you're using MPG, it comes in as a tibble, and so you must convert it as a data frame before executing this code.